Yeah, hello everybody. Hello, I mean boxing enthusiasts especially. Yeah, last week, this weekend, last one is just gone. Yeah, there were, those fights that I talked about. Um, yeah, they went, you know, all the results were as I predicted, but not exactly the same way. It didn't all happen, of course. Actually, the biggest surprise was that Noel Mikhailian actually stopped Ilunga Makabu in just 3 rounds. So that just confirms how shot as a fighter Makabu is, and he really should and will probably retire now. I hope he is just totally gone, as a serious fighter, totally washed up, And congratulations to Mikhailian, who, as I said, actually was in line to fight for this title already in February this year, but I guess he got an injury or something and just couldn't make it. And yeah, but anyway, now he has won it, and it's the WBC title that was, fortunately for him, also vacated by Badu Jack. Why I say fortunately is because it would have been a lot harder to win it against Jack than Macau, of course. So now the cruiserweight division is getting exciting. You got, of course, Jai Opetaya, who is the IBF champion, and many regard him justly as the best cruiserweight right now. But you also have what's his name, Arsene Goulamirian, who hasn't fought that much, but is still holding the WBA title, still undefeated. So yeah, I would like to see it. Interestingly enough, both Mikhailian and Goulamirian are of Armenian ethnicity, even though the first guy was raised in Germany and the second in France. Goulamirian, of course. So it will be an interesting, fight for more than one reason. Yeah, but it would make sense because Guamiria now needs a big fight desperately, and you know, the sooner all the titles are united again, or as many as possible anyway, the better. Because you don't want to have like four champions. That's just nonsense, right? Come on. So, but right now we do have four champions. So, Mikhailian, WBC, Gulamirian, WBA, Opetaya, IBF, and Chris Billon Smith, WBO. Yes, so, yeah, there aren't that many really real options for a fight for Mikhailian that are, outside of those three, and one of those three, in near future. And I think and hope it will happen soon, a title unification fight between either one of these guys. Alright. And then F.A. Ajagba actually really looked good, and he stopped Joseph Gudo in 4 rounds only. Very impressive. And Gudo was hardly a really tested fighter or experienced, but still he has power, obviously, and has knocked out. I don't remember who it was, but I know it was a solid fighter. I think his name was Stefan Johnson. Yeah, something like that. So, yeah, yeah, FL Jagba. He's, you know, he's shown that he's improved, recently after that really how shall we say, damaging loss to Frank Sanchez, where he was really, dominated and outclassed and everything. So that was a good learning curve for him, good learning experience. Yeah. So now, I don't know if it's too early for him to call out any of the two champions, but anyway, yeah, I think it's too early. I think he should focus on fighting somebody like Jared Anderson, maybe, or Arslan Bek Mahmoud, or those guys who are waiting in line for a world title fight. Yeah, sorry, my voice is a little low. So yeah, there isn't much else to say about that. If Jagba has the size and punching power to compete at the highest level today at heavyweight. So that's all I'm gonna say about that. And then finally it was Joe Cordina, yeah, versus Edward Vasquez. Well, this is the big, it was a big surprise and a disappointment even for me with Cordina, his performance. I mean, in the first 4 rounds he did well. He was trading shots and landing quite a lot. But then, he became just too kind of cautious and kept moving around instead of fighting. And yeah, I didn't really like his performance, not at all. He got tagged way too much also by Vasquez, a guy who I never really heard of before and don't know anything about, but he's shown himself, he has shown himself in a good light in this fight anyway. So he was the aggressor mostly for most of the fight. And he kept throwing punches and landing many as well, but unfortunately for him, he's not a puncher, so he wasn't able to really get Cordina in trouble. But he did like shake him a few times with punches. Yeah. Cordina kind of shook him maybe once or twice, but most of the time, he just, yeah, he didn't hurt him really. So I don't know really how he knocked out that guy Kenichi Ogawa with one punch. I guess it was just, you know, a lucky, one of those things. The perfect punch that lands at perfect place. And Ogawa himself seems like he might be Chichini also, actually. Because he was knocked out before that. So, Corina, he just had no reason to be so cocky as he was after the fight and calling Vasquez a sore loser. Well, I don't think that's he had the right to complain about that decision, especially because the first judge had it all even, and then the next two had it for Cordina with like 4 points or something margin. Come on, no way, no way, man. It was very close, yeah. And it probably would have been justified if it was score a draw, yeah, because it was that close. But I think maybe Vasquez might have even nicked it, with a point or something. Yeah. So yeah, Corina hasn't really he didn't look as good as in the previous fight or two fights, but I guess Vasquez being shorter and very mobile and Rakimov being rather not as short and more of Cordina's side and kind of one dimensional, I must say, or two dimensional in comparison to Vasquez and many others. 130 having a kind of leaky defense also, as was also shown against Alpha Barrett. So he was tailor made for Cordina, obviously, but Vasquez was not at all. So yeah, well, I don't know what will happen to Cordina in future, but one thing is for sure, he has to, change his, fighting style. He must throw more. Simple as that. You cannot play, like I don't know, like somebody. You're not Floyd Mayweather. You're not Roy Jones Jr. You know, you cannot hope to knock out everybody with a single punch. Not at all. So you must throw. All right. And he looked gun shy. Simple as that. I mean, once he started getting, tagged and hit a lot more, he just retreated into his defensive, shell and just kept moving around and going to the ropes. Really bad idea. Also, by the way, why do you go to the ropes? Really, come on, tell me. It has no no sensibility or no sense at all. It's the worst place for you to be when you are dealing with a fire like offensive fire like Vasquez. So yeah, that would be it. Cordina. I don't have high hopes for him in future when he's gonna face guys like Hector Garcia or Navarrete, Manuel Navarrete. Before this, I was very like I even gave him too much credit. I admit I did, but that's because he looked so good in his last two fights. But this fight exposed him, as having his limitations also, So now I don't really have such high hopes for him against these guys. So yeah, there you have it. That was my summary of the last weekend's boxing. So see you soon, right? Ciao.